welcome to Ruth-Wobility platform. Thank you again, and this is Ruth. Ruth-Wobility platform is a platform that says as it is. It's a story that is going to go out, and members of community members of Eugene and the state of Oregon is here to hear and listen to what is happening. What are the happenings in Eugene? So today we are going to meet a talented young lady. He's a brand of everything. Like if you kind of know what is happening in Eugene, you will know. He has so much to tell us. And we are going to know from her how he has been able to do it. And many Eugenians might be able to learn how making life in Eugene looks like. And we are also going to share so many beautiful stories that is happening around Eugene. But today, you will discover it for yourself. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Ruth. I'm well, thanks.
Thank you for coming to Ruth-Wobility platform. So, what can you tell us about you?
Well, I'm from the Pacific Northwest, United States. Should I start at the very beginning? I grew up in Washington State, and I've done a lot of traveling, a lot of international development work, specifically focused on the rights and inclusion of persons with disabilities, mostly based in Latin America. I moved to Oregon 3 years ago. Since then, I've been working as a case manager for child welfare program.
Yeah, that is so interesting. How do you like Eugene, Oregon? What makes you move here and love it?
It just kind of was what worked out first, career-wise, and then once I got here, I fell in love with it. I love the location and the community, the activism, the inclusion. I've always felt very welcome here. Met a lot of people. There's a wonderful live music scene. There's so many great bands coming through every night of the week when COVID isn't happening. And so, I think the music and the culture really attracted me. Location's great, not far from the coast, the mountains, the rivers. I like to sail, so there's sailing races out at Fern Ridge Reservoir, and I do those every week.
Nice. Yeah, you said something about your work. What do you actually do in your day's job? What do you actually do? People in Eugene might like to know. What do you do?
Yeah, and there's a few answers to that. My main job is a case manager. Like I said, I work for child welfare, so we receive reports of abuse or neglect to children in anywhere in Lane County, and then we get a timeline for how quickly we have to go out and visit the home and assess the situation to find out if there's actually a child in danger or that their healthy development might be under threat. I also, when businesses are open, I bartend occasionally at the Wildcraft Cider House, which is a local cidery. I work online for a Latin American network of young advocates for people with disabilities called META, and then that stands for Movimiento Estamos Todos en Acción, or We Are All Together Movement is how that would translate. And that's young Latin Americans with and without disabilities working for inclusion all over the region. I also help our shared friend Bernard do fundraising for the Cameroonian organization Benevolente International.
Nice. It shows you're very, very busy and your plate is always full. But what are the challenges that you get from what you do with challenge kids from challenge parents? What are the real challenges you get from that?
I think the biggest issue is there's a lot of stigma around the agency being involved with one's family, and so it's hard to get parents to. It's difficult to build rapport and to create healthy relationships with the parents that you're trying to support, because they often don't see it as being supported. They see it as being accused of not safely parenting.
Yeah.
And you're coming in and telling them there's an issue, and that means government involvement in their home. If it's a really severe situation, it means law enforcement involvement, and
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
I see.
anger and rejection to you approaching your clients initially. Once you get to know them and they see that your purpose is to create a healthier home environment for their child and to keep them with their child, lots of times that relationship can change and improve, but initially it's a bit tense.
Yeah, we are so happy to have you here in Eugene doing that incredible job. It's not an easy thing. So, if you were in a position to talk to other parents here who could make your work easier, what can you tell them?
I guess just to keep in mind that the horror stories are not the majority. People think of child welfare involvement in their lives potentially meaning that they're going to lose custody of their children. And I would say, out of 100 cases that I do, that happens in 5, because there's an actual injury or threat of harm to a child, and so we have to place the child with relatives and help their parent get back on track with whatever issue they're dealing with. But that's, like I said, that's the minority. Usually it's just identifying what's the barrier that the family has, whether that's financial or substance abuse, mental health, many other things, and then trying to give them the resources to address and resolve that issue.
Yeah. We are so glad to have you here in Eugene, and Ruth-Wobility platform is so happy that you are there to do this incredible work. But if you were given an opportunity to talk to somebody in power who can address or reduce the burden that parents think they are having, what can you really tell these people that it's something that they can do to address the situation between parents and the worker, in order that so many people should draw more closer, because this is a need in our community and we need to always address them, and they need to always be closer to you people, so that the work should be easier. So what can you really say about that?
I think in every situation with child welfare, the last resort is always separating children from their parents. And so at the state level and the funding level, if we had a better network of resources to provide these people to help address their issues in a preventive way, that would enable a lot more parents to maintain custody and be in recovery from whatever issue they were dealing with that was threatening their children's safety. But because of funding issues, especially right now during COVID, for example, mental health services are very spare. There's not nearly enough counselors with vacancies in their client load that they can take the families that we're trying to refer to them for, whether it's family mediation, parent-child counseling, couples counseling, or psychiatric evaluation that needs medication. All of those things are there's just not enough providers available right now because they're so overbooked. I think the same thing applies to substance abuse treatment centers around Lane County. It's really hard to get a bed and just have the support that one needs if you're dealing with an addiction issue.
Thank you so very much for explaining that. I know the public of Eugene and community members will be so happy to get an understanding of how tedious your work is and how they can better help to see that everybody in Eugene live more better than what they are now. And we hope Ruth-Wobility platform will be able to get back to you some other time when things must have improved, and you will be able to tell the platform what has changed, what has really made things more better for the community members here in Eugene. And hopefully we'll receive calls and also questions from people who inbox us, and we'll be able to share them with you too. So if you have any other thing that you can share to the community members, we are pleased to let you share it out.
Yeah, I guess one last thing I would like to say in relation to kind of the current issues facing people in the child welfare workforce is that when COVID first began, we were identified as essential. We're still employed, which is good for us. And the union advocated for us to receive hazard pay because they're sending us daily into high-risk homes. And that's never been approved at the state level. and we are not given priority for vaccines either. So I'm going into houses of other people that may or may not be COVID infected every day, and the state isn't vaccinating any of the case managers. So that's frustrating. It feels like, you know, our contribution and our job is being undervalued that way. And so to the community, I would say, you know, there are petitions in place online that a lot of people are sharing on social media platforms or by email. You know, if you can express support for both those things, vaccines and hazard pay for case managers that have to be out in the field every day, that would be great.
We are so happy for you to share this great information, and we know the public is listening and they are going to get back to who powers that be to ratify some of these things for us to really be more involved in our community and be able to enjoy some of the opportunities that we have without fear of favor or without any prejudice from whosoever around us. And Mobility platform is here to dialogue each time with the members of the communities and to let everybody know who is doing what and who is working for whose benefit in our community. So thank you so very much, Hailey Fox, and hopefully we'll get back to you and to let you know how feedbacks has been going, and we hope members of Eugene, the community of Eugene is going to be more positive towards your work.
Yeah, I'm so excited to find out what other ways I can support Ruth-Wobility and to see the platform launch. That'll be fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.